Could the sweet treat you enjoyed this afternoon, or the salty snack you grabbed yesterday, be quietly working against one of your most precious assets? We all love delicious food, don't we? It's a comfort, a joy, a way we connect with others and ourselves. But as the years pass, the relationship between what we eat and how our minds function becomes more and more significant. It can be a bit unsettling to think that something so pleasurable could have a downside. A subtle impact that builds up over time without us even realizing it. Many of us start noticing little things as we get older. A moment of forgetfulness. Feeling a bit less sharp than we used to. Maybe finding it harder to concentrate. We often put it down to just getting older, a natural part of life. But what if some of these changes aren't inevitable? What if some of them are being quietly influenced, day by day, by the very foods we enjoy? There's a quiet reality that some of the most tempting items on our plates or in our pantries might be contributing to cognitive decline, making it harder to remember, to focus, to keep our minds as vibrant as we want them to be. The good news is, understanding this isn't about deprivation. It's about empowerment. It's about making informed choices that support our brain health, helping us stay sharp, independent, and joyful for years to come. In this video, we're going to gently uncover 6 delicious foods that you might not suspect are quietly damaging your brain after 60. We'll talk about why they can be problematic and, more importantly, what simple swaps or adjustments you can make without feeling like you're missing out. You might be surprised by some of the items on the list. Foods that are staples in many homes. So, settle in, keep an open mind, and watch to the end for something that might truly surprise you about taking care of your brain. Let's gently ease into the first food on our list. Something many of us reach for when we need a quick pick-me-up or just enjoy the taste. Think about that fizzy drink on a hot day, or the seemingly healthy juice you might have with breakfast. Yes, we're talking about sugary drinks. Things like soda, sweetened fruit juices, and even many of those fancy coffee drinks loaded with syrups. They taste wonderful, refreshing, and give us that immediate burst of energy, or at least a sugar rush. But the truth is, they are often packed with a type of sugar called high fructose corn syrup, or just plain old sugar. And our brains, particularly as we get older, really don't like large amounts of this stuff. When we consume these drinks regularly, the sudden influx of sugar can lead to inflammation throughout the body. And that includes our brains. Chronic inflammation is like a slow burn for brain cells. It can interfere with communication between neurons and even contribute to the shrinkage of certain areas of the brain important for memory and learning. Think of your brain like a delicate garden. Too much quick-acting sugar is like dumping a harsh chemical fertilizer on it. It might look green for a moment, but it damages the soil and the plants over time. Studies have shown a link between high consumption of sugary drinks and a greater risk of dementia and Alzheimer's disease later in life. It's not just about the sugar content either. Many of these drinks contain artificial colors and flavors, which some research suggests could have their own negative impacts on brain function. The problem is, our bodies aren't designed to handle liquid sugar calories in such large doses. They don't make us feel full the way solid food does. So we end up consuming a lot without realizing it, and it goes straight to our system, causing rapid spikes and crashes in blood sugar. This constant fluctuation is stressful for the brain and can impair cognitive function, making it harder to think clearly, focus, or remember things. What can you do? It's not about never having a sweet drink again, but about mindful reduction and choosing better options. Instead of soda, try sparkling water with a squeeze of lemon or lime. Instead of sweetened juice, choose whole fruit, which provides fiber to slow down sugar absorption, or dilute juice with water. Herbal teas, plain water, or even unsweetened iced tea are wonderful alternatives. Sometimes, just the habit of reaching for that specific bottle or can is the challenge. Try keeping a jug of water with cucumber or mint in the fridge. or a thermos of your favorite unsweetened tea handy. Making these small swaps can significantly reduce your sugar intake and give your brain a much-needed break from those harmful spikes and crashes. It's a simple change, but one that can have a profound positive effect on how you feel and how sharp your mind stays. It might feel a little different at first, but your taste buds do adapt, and you might find you appreciate the natural flavors of things more. Now, while we're thinking about things that cause those blood sugar roller coasters, let's talk about another category of foods that can do similar damage, often lurking in plain sight. These are foods made with refined carbohydrates. Think white bread, pastries, cakes, biscuits, white pasta, and white rice. They are processed in a way that strips away the fiber and nutrients, leaving behind essentially just starch, which the body quickly converts to sugar. Just like sugary drinks, these foods cause rapid spikes in blood sugar and insulin levels. This constant fluctuation and the resulting inflammation can be detrimental to brain health over time. Imagine trying to build a sturdy house, but only having flimsy materials that crumble easily. That's kind of what happens to your brain cells when they're constantly bombarded by the effects of high blood sugar. Regular consumption of refined carbs has been linked to cognitive decline and an increased risk of neurological disorders. The problem is, these foods are everywhere. Convenient, and often marketed as comforting or quick options. A piece of white toast, a croissant with coffee, a quick sandwich on white bread. They seem harmless enough. But cumulatively, they can contribute to significant brain strain. The lack of fiber also means they don't keep you full for long, often leading to overeating and weight gain, which itself is a risk factor for cognitive issues. The good news is, there are delicious and brain-friendly alternatives readily available. Swap white bread for whole grain bread. Choose brown rice or quinoa instead of white rice. Opt for whole wheat pasta. When baking, try using whole wheat flour or almond flour instead of sugary pastries. Have a piece of fruit with a handful of nuts. Adding fiber-rich foods like vegetables, fruits, legumes, and whole grains helps slow down the absorption of sugar, providing a steady stream of energy for your brain rather than those disruptive spikes. It's about shifting your focus from white to whole wherever possible. Look for labels that say 100% whole grain or whole wheat as the first ingredient. These foods take longer to digest, keeping you feeling satisfied and your blood sugar levels stable, which is exactly what your brain prefers. Making these switches isn't about deprivation, it's about choosing ingredients that nourish your brain and body more effectively. It's like giving your brain the high-quality building materials it needs to stay strong. It requires a little bit of habit change, perhaps trying new recipes or different types of bread. But the long-term benefits for your cognitive health are well worth it. You might find that you have more sustained energy throughout the day and fewer of those mid-afternoon crashes when you cut back on refined carbs. This gentle shift towards whole, unprocessed options is a powerful step in protecting your brain as you age. Now, moving from things that cause sugar spikes, let's talk about something else that can be incredibly tempting but problematic for brain health. Often found in restaurants and quick service places. Think about that satisfying crunch, that golden brown deliciousness. We're talking about fried foods, French fries, fried chicken, donuts, anything that takes a dip in hot oil. They are undeniably tasty and often linked to comfort or celebration. But sadly, regularly eating fried foods is not doing your brain any favors, especially as the years go by. When food is fried, especially at high temperatures or in oils that are reused repeatedly, it can create harmful compounds like advanced glycation end products, or AGEs, and also damage the fats in the oil, potentially creating trans fats. These compounds can cause oxidative stress and inflammation in the brain, which are major culprits in cognitive decline. Oxidative stress is like rust building up in your brain. It damages cells and makes it harder for them to function properly. Inflammation, as we mentioned before, is like that slow burn that harms brain tissue. Regular consumption of fried foods has been associated with poorer memory, reduced learning capacity, and an increased risk of dementia. It's thought that the damage caused by these harmful compounds can affect the blood vessels supplying the brain, reducing blood flow, which is essential for optimal brain function. Your brain needs a constant supply of oxygen and nutrients, and anything that compromises that supply is a problem. Think about how sluggish you might feel after eating a large, greasy, fried meal. That feeling isn't just in your stomach. It can reflect a temporary impact on your cognitive function too. The fats used in frying, particularly partially hydrogenated oils which contain trans fats or certain vegetable oils heated repeatedly, can also be problematic. Trans fats are particularly harmful for brain health. They can accumulate in brain cell membranes, altering their structure and function. Even saturated fats, when consumed in excess, can contribute to inflammation and negatively impact cognitive function. So, what's a lover of crispy food to do? Again, it's about finding alternatives and reducing frequency. Instead of deep frying, try baking, roasting, air frying, or grilling. These methods can give you that satisfying texture and flavor without the harmful compounds and excessive unhealthy fats. For example, you can make delicious fries by cutting up potatoes, sweet potatoes, or even zucchini, tossing them with a little olive oil and seasonings, and roasting them in the oven or air fryer until crispy. You can bake chicken or fish instead of frying it. Experiment with different spices and herbs to add flavor without relying on unhealthy fats. If you're out and about, try to choose options that are baked, grilled, or steamed instead of fried. It takes a conscious effort, but once you start exploring these alternatives, you might be surprised at how flavorful and satisfying they can be. Plus, you'll feel better knowing you're treating your brain with kindness. It's not about perfection, but progress. Reducing your intake of fried foods is a significant step towards protecting your cognitive abilities as you age. It's about nourishing your body in a way that supports its long-term health, including the health of your incredible brain. By being mindful of these three categories, sugary drinks, refined carbohydrates, and fried foods, you're already making a tremendous positive impact. But there are a few more things worth considering as we continue this conversation about brain-healthy eating after 60. Moving on from those common culprits, let's talk about another food group that many people enjoy for convenience or flavor, but which can quietly impact brain health over time: processed meats. This includes things like bacon, sausages, hot dogs, deli meats like ham, turkey slices, salami, and beef jerky. They are often cured, smoked, or salted to preserve them and enhance their flavor. And while they can be tasty additions to a meal or a quick snack, they are often high in saturated fats, sodium, and nitrates or nitrites. These compounds have been linked to various health issues, including negative effects on brain function. High intake of saturated fats, as we touched on earlier, can contribute to inflammation and oxidative stress, both of which are damaging to brain cells and pathways. Excessive sodium intake is known to raise blood pressure, and high blood pressure is a significant risk factor for stroke and vascular dementia, a type of dementia caused by reduced blood flow to the brain. Think of your brain's blood vessels like tiny pipes delivering vital supplies. High blood pressure can damage these pipes, making the delivery less efficient and potentially causing blockages or leaks. Furthermore, the nitrates and nitrites used as preservatives in processed meats can form compounds called nitrosamines in the body. Some research suggests that nitrosamines may have toxic effects on the brain and could contribute to neurodegenerative diseases. While research in this area is ongoing, the overall profile of processed meats, high in unhealthy fats, salt, and potentially problematic additives, makes them less than ideal for optimal brain health. Especially as we age, we might crave that smoky flavor of bacon or the ease of a deli meat sandwich. But regularly consuming these items can chip away at our cognitive resilience. What can you do? It's not about eliminating meat entirely unless you choose to, but about being selective and prioritizing unprocessed options. Choose lean cuts of fresh meat, poultry, or fish instead of processed versions. If you enjoy sandwiches, opt for fresh roasted chicken or turkey breast you cook yourself, or use alternatives like avocado, hummus, or egg salad. When you do occasionally have processed meats, consider them a treat rather than a dietary staple. Look for options labeled uncured or nitrate-free, although these still may contain other preservatives and are often high in sodium and fat. So, moderation is key. Exploring plant-based proteins like beans, lentils, tofu, and tempeh can also be a great way to reduce your reliance on processed meats while adding valuable nutrients and fiber to your diet. Making a breakfast hash with vegetables and a small amount of unprocessed lean protein instead of bacon or sausage, or packing a lunch with leftover grilled chicken and salad instead of a deli meat sandwich are simple switches that can make a difference. It's about being more mindful of what's in the food we eat and opting for whole, less altered sources of protein whenever possible. This gentle shift helps reduce the burden of harmful fats, excess salt, and potential additives on your brain, supporting better long-term cognitive function. Now, building on the idea of unhealthy fats, let's delve a little deeper into another category of foods that can be particularly damaging to the brain. Often found hidden in many processed and baked goods, we've touched on unhealthy fats in fried foods and processed meats. But let's highlight them specifically because they are so prevalent and quietly harmful. We're talking primarily about artificial trans fats and excessive amounts of saturated fats. Artificial trans fats, once common in things like margarine, shortenings, packaged baked goods like cakes, cookies, pastries, and some fried and fast foods, have been largely phased out or banned in many places due to their well-documented harm to heart health. However, they can still be present in some products, and even small amounts are bad news for your brain. Trans fats are manufactured fats that are difficult for your body to process and can cause significant inflammation and damage to blood vessels, including those in your brain. They can interfere with the structure and function of brain cell membranes, impairing communication between neurons. Think of your brain cells like little communicators sending messages. Trans fats make their signal receivers fuzzy and less effective. Studies have strongly linked trans fat consumption to reduced cognitive function, memory impairment, and an increased risk of Alzheimer's disease. While artificial trans fats are less common now, it's still important to read labels and look for partially hydrogenated oils in the ingredient list. That's a red flag for trans fats. Even zero trans fat on the front doesn't always mean absolutely none. Look at the ingredients. Then there's the issue of saturated fats, found in things like fatty cuts of meat, full-fat dairy products, butter, and coconut oil. Though the science on coconut oil is still debated, excessive amounts of saturated fat in general are concerning, while our bodies need some fat. A diet very high in saturated fat can contribute to inflammation, oxidative stress, and plaque buildup in arteries, atherosclerosis, which reduces blood flow to the brain. Excessive saturated fat intake has been associated with poorer cognitive flexibility and memory as we age. It's not about eliminating these fats entirely, but about moderation and choosing healthier fat sources most of the time. What are the brain-friendly fats? Monounsaturated fats found in olive oil, avocados, and nuts, and polyunsaturated fats, especially omega-3 fatty acids found in fatty fish, salmon, mackerel, sardines, walnuts, chia seeds, and flax seeds. These fats are like premium fuel and building blocks for your brain cells. They help reduce inflammation, improve blood flow, and support the structure and function of brain cell membranes. So, how can you make changes? Cook with olive oil instead of butter or lard. Snack on a handful of nuts instead of a pastry. Incorporate fatty fish into your diet a couple of times a week. Choose leaner cuts of meat or opt for plant-based protein sources more often. Be mindful of your portions of high-fat dairy and choose lower-fat options or dairy alternatives. When buying packaged foods, read the labels. Avoid products with partially hydrogenated oils. Look at the saturated fat content and aim for options that are lower in saturated fat and higher in unsaturated fats. It's about making conscious choices at the grocery store and in your kitchen. By reducing unhealthy fats and increasing healthy fats, you are quite literally helping to build a stronger, more resilient brain that is better equipped to handle the challenges of aging. This shift in fat consumption is one of the most powerful dietary changes you can make for long-term cognitive health. And finally, let's look at something that might surprise you. Often found in foods marketed as diet or sugar-free. We often think of diet or sugar-free options as healthier choices, especially if we're managing blood sugar or watching our weight. But many of these products contain artificial sweeteners and a cocktail of other additives to enhance flavor, color, and texture. And unfortunately, some of these ingredients might not be good news for your brain as you get older. Artificial sweeteners like aspartame, sucralose, and saccharin, while providing sweetness without calories, may have unintended effects on brain function. Some studies suggest a link between high consumption of artificial sweeteners and an increased risk of stroke and dementia. The exact mechanisms are still being researched, but theories include their potential impact on gut bacteria, which is increasingly linked to brain health, their effect on insulin sensitivity, or direct effects on neurotransmitters. Think of artificial sweeteners as potentially confusing signals for your brain. They taste sweet, triggering a response, but without the expected calories, which can disrupt metabolic processes and potentially affect brain signaling over time. Beyond artificial sweeteners, many processed foods, especially snack foods, sweets, and ready meals, contain a range of artificial colors, flavors, and preservatives, while approved for use. The long-term effects of consuming a combination of these additives regularly, particularly on the aging brain, are not fully understood. Some anecdotal reports and limited studies suggest potential links between certain additives and behavioral or cognitive issues. Although more research is needed in the elderly population specifically, the broader issue with foods containing these additives is that they are often highly processed and nutritionally poor. They displace nutrient-dense whole foods from your diet, meaning your brain isn't getting the vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, and healthy fats it needs to function optimally. It's like filling up your car with low-quality fuel. It might run, but not efficiently, and it can cause damage over time. The surprising truth is that trying to avoid sugar by consuming lots of artificially sweetened and additive-laden products might not be the brain-healthier choice you think it is. What can you do? The best approach is often to reduce your reliance on intensely sweet flavors, whether from sugar or artificial sweeteners, and focus on whole, unprocessed foods instead of a diet soda. Choose plain water, herbal tea, or water infused with fruit. If you crave something sweet, reach for a piece of fresh fruit. When buying packaged foods, read the ingredient list carefully. Look for products with minimal ingredients, and ideally, ingredients you recognize as whole foods. Avoid products where artificial sweeteners or a long list of unpronounceable additives are high up on the list. It's about retraining your palate to appreciate less intense sweetness and opting for flavors that come naturally from fruits, vegetables, and whole foods. Making meals from scratch more often gives you complete control over the ingredients and allows you to avoid unwanted additives. Choosing simplicity and relying on the natural goodness of whole foods is a powerful way to protect your brain from the potential harm of artificial ingredients and additives. This final point really brings everything together. By choosing whole, unprocessed foods over those laden with sugars, refined carbs, unhealthy fats, and artificial additives, you are giving your brain the best possible chance to thrive as you age. So, we've gently explored 6 delicious foods that, while tempting, can quietly impact your brain health after 60. Those sugary drinks and refined carbohydrates that cause blood sugar chaos. The fried foods and unhealthy fats that promote inflammation and damage blood vessels. The processed meats with their salt, saturated fat, and additives, and the artificial sweeteners and chemicals found in many processed items. It might feel like a lot to take in, especially since many of these foods are part of our daily routines or comfort zones. But please, don't feel discouraged or overwhelmed. Remember, this isn't about being perfect or never enjoying a treat again. It's about awareness and making small, manageable shifts over time. Every time you choose water over soda, whole grain over white bread, roasted chicken over processed deli meat, or a piece of fruit over a sugary snack, you are making a positive deposit in your brain's bank account. These small changes might seem insignificant on their own, but collectively, they add up to powerful support for your cognitive function, helping you stay sharp, focused, and vibrant. Your brain is remarkably resilient and capable of benefiting from healthier choices. No matter your age, it's never too late to start nourishing it better. Think of it as an investment in your future self, an investment in maintaining your independence and enjoying life to the fullest. You have the power to influence your brain health through the simple choices you make about food every single day. Don't underestimate the impact of small, consistent actions. Starting with just one or two of these suggestions can make a difference. Maybe this week, you focus on swapping out sugary drinks for water or unsweetened tea. Next week, perhaps you try swapping white bread for whole grain. Find what feels manageable and build from there. Celebrate your small victories. Remember, you are capable of making these positive changes. It's about progress, not perfection. Your brain will thank you for it. And honestly, eating whole, unprocessed foods prepared simply can be incredibly delicious and satisfying in its own right. Fresh fruits, vibrant vegetables, lean proteins, healthy fats. They provide the sustained energy and clear-headed feeling that those less healthy options often steal away in the long run. We're all on this journey of aging together, and supporting our physical and mental health is key to enjoying it fully. What are your thoughts on these foods? Were any of them a surprise to you? Have you already made some of these swaps in your own diet? Sharing your experiences and tips in the comments below can be incredibly helpful and encouraging for others in our community. Let's learn from each other. And if you found this information helpful, please give this video a like. It really helps us reach more people who can benefit from this kind of content. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos dedicated to helping you live your best life at every age. Taking care of your brain is one of the most loving things you can do for yourself. Keep making those wonderful, brain-boosting choices and live your best life at every age.